Welcome to another episode of Freedom Blueprint Podcast. I am hanging out today with my amazing wife, Kristen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So today we are just coming off of a 2-day workshop event that was really awesome. Truthfully, I think it went better than you and I anticipated.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, it was. It's cool. Anytime for anybody who's ever done a workshop or put on an event, there's a lot of moving parts that are happening, and it can be a challenge.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of planning and preparation that goes into it as you're getting ready for it. And then once the attendees start arriving, then it's like here we go.
Real.
We're off to the races. Here we go.
Things are getting real now. Let's do this.
So the event was obviously home service businesses from across the country who were there to learn about position-specific KPIs and then some leadership systems to help them hold their team members accountable to the KPIs that they decided that they wanted to measure and the goals they set for themselves. So it was a little bit of numbers, a little bit of leadership, a lot of really cool opportunities for some group work. There were businesses from all sizes there. So there was some guys who were still kind of on the small side, and then there was guys who were really quite large, and it was really neat to be able to see some of the takeaways from a variety of sizes of companies.
Well, and it's interesting. I think sometimes people get hung up on, well, once you reach a certain size, a smaller business can't help you. Mm-hmm. And it's cool because a lot of times when you do the group exercises, you can watch and see how sometimes the small businesses are actually helping the bigger businesses because they're so in the day-to-day that sometimes those owners forget about, cool things they used to do when they were in the truck that really made a difference or an impact. And they go, oh yeah, you know what? I need to make sure my guys are doing that. Well,
it kind of makes you almost go back to basics for a little bit. There's a lot of times that we, when we get to a certain size, there's some little things that kind of drop off. Mm-hmm. And, having the opportunity to chit chat with the ones that are a little bit smaller kind of reminds you that, oh my gosh, we did used to do that and it was really cool. I don't know why we stopped, but
got busy, focused on other things. That tends to happen a lot. So there was also some really good vendors.
Yep. We had a couple. Yep. We had 4 vendors.
So let's give them all a shout out. They were amazing.
Yes. So Glass House was our presenting sponsor, our entertainment sponsor as well. And Jimmy from Glass House spoke a little bit about the Disney Prince, Disney Prince model.
I love his talk on that. And if you go back, he's been on the podcast, and he did a podcast where he did a little bit of talking about the Disney Prince model. But it's cool because that came up because he's got 2 younger kids, and that just kind of framework happened, and that was really, really cool to see that.
Well, and the cool thing about kind of what I took away from his section was if you just do 10% better in a couple of different things, it compounds so much more. And you can apply that not only to business, but like life.
Right.
Like my brain goes to fitness and nutrition. If I did 10% better on my activity and 10% better on my food and 10% better on my sleep and 10% better on whatever other fitness thing there is, that all compounds.
I think going to the gym might be one of them.
That all compounds together.
Right.
So it's not like you have to take one thing and go 100% change. If you just do a little bit of change in multiple things, it compounds. It's like, that's a really cool concept.
Yeah.
Then we also had Power Selling Pros was there as a vendor. We had CES, which is I think the easiest way to describe them would be like a comprehensive HR, payroll, benefits solution for small businesses in the industry. And then we had True North, which is marketing. That's McKenna with the different marketing tactics and things that she does. It was a really cool blend of sponsors. We know all of the sponsors in advance, worked with most of them already. Mm-hmm. So we were proud to have them as sponsors. Right. Like I was proud to have them talk to our attendees, right. And it was really cool.
We would be comfortable saying, use this company.
Yes.
They're going to take care of you.
Right. Right.
I think that's the nice thing about being able to pick the vendors is we were able to kind of go through it and go, who do we know? Who do we like? Who do we trust? And that's who we want to kind of hang out with.
Yeah.
And that worked out really well. Okay. So we had amazing sponsors.
Yeah.
Um,
We had audio video there, so I'm really excited to be able to see professional audio video
yeah.
outcome from that. I'm like super excited to see that. There was a handful of things that I wouldn't say last minute, but they were things that we just wanted to make sure we did well, or that we really didn't. We just wanted to make sure that we included. We had awesome signage, I will say, like the overall look. The look and the vibe of it was really cool. The photo backdrop was fun.
Yep.
There's just some of that detail that was really fun to pull together.
The food was good.
Food was good. Yep, food was good.
Yeah.
Went to the baseball game on Thursday night.
We got to see the Pensacola Wahoos, which on Thursdays, they're the Pensacola Mullets.
Okay, I don't get this. I don't get it.
Okay,
but
so I'm going to tell this story. I don't know if it's true or not. So it'll make for a good story. I think that they do it and they tied it in to the BOGO beer thing. So like Thursday night is Thirsty Thursday.
right.
So it's kind of like the mullet is a famous fish or a popular fish here.
And a
Which, you know
haircut.
what? Right. So it's like
Trashy
Thursday.
I don't know.
I think so. I'm going to double check though, because
Did the team used to be called the Mullets?
No.
No, they were never called the Mullets ever in the history of ever.
Nope. I think they tried it as a one-time thing. It was really popular. People liked it, and they kept it
Because
going.
even their jerseys are even different. Like there's this
Right.
brown
It's a mullet.
thing. It's supposed to look like a mullet, but it's really weird because you have the player's head and hat, and then you have their bare neck,
Right.
and then you have this brown swath of something on the back of their shirt. It'd be funnier if they took fake hair and hung it out the back of their hats.
Yeah,
and
I'm gonna have to look it up now, but I'm positive that part of that story is true, because I know that's kind of how it started. Whether they call it Trashy Thursday or not, I don't know. If they don't, they should.
They should. Well, okay, but so we played the Trash Pandas.
We played the Trash Pandas out of Huntsville.
Out of Huntsville, Alabama, which here's the deal. I did have somebody ask me the other night what a trash panda is. So just for clarity, it's a raccoon.
Oh.
Wait, you didn't know what?
I did not.
Oh,
Matter of fact, I was asking Keith that was there. He lives in Huntsville.
Right.
And I was talking to him the week before, and I said, hey, just so you know, well, he lives in Decatur, which is right there by Huntsville. But I said, hey, just so you know, we're playing the Trash Pandas. He's like, man, I'm going to wear my jersey. I'm going to wear my hat.
Yeah, he was decked out.
I was like, no, you won't. And he did.
He totally did.
Yeah, he was the fan.
He was, I think, the only Trash Panda fan there. And also, they were winning for a minute. And then towards the end, the Wahoos started scoring a couple runs and took the lead. And then, of course, Keith had to do his rally cap. So he turned it inside down and upside down and put it on his head. And then ended up getting a picture with Kazoo, which is our mascot, at the end of the night. And Kazoo's big old blue hand was over top the trash. Covering the logo. Yeah. It was really fun. We had a good time.
That was fun. We had our own little section. And so it was just our crazy group. Mm-hmm. They contained us to one area, and it was fun. And again, we had really good food.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Good networking.
It was cool. There was so much networking.
Yeah.
There was so much networking over the whole couple of days. As a matter of fact, one of the guys who I was talking to before the event, when he was trying to decide whether or not he should come, because they're like a pretty decent sized company and they've got a lot of stuff already kind of in place. And he was like, am I going to get anything out of this? And I was like, I bet you will.
Yeah.
And he's like, is there going to be companies I can network with that are bigger than me? And I said, yeah, there'll probably be some. So at the end of the first day, he came up and he said, I just want to let you know that I've already got 2 shop tours scheduled, and I have been able to connect with so many different companies, and the networking has been amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So that was cool.
So that wrapped day one. Day one was heavy.
Day one was a lot of lift. There was, it wasn't numbers from like a financial standpoint, but financial statement standpoint, but it was definitely, probably the heavier lift of the 2 days, because the whole concept of the 2 days was we were working to put together a package. So each segment that we did, it kind of built on the next one,
Right.
like the next one built on that and built on that and built on that all the way through for the whole 2 days. And so I would say that it was probably a heavier lift and slightly more individual lift on day one. But then on day two, it was less numbery and more like leadership-y type stuff.
How do you take action? How do you
Right.
hold people accountable? How do you, now
Right.
we've got all this stuff. Now, what do you
Now,
do
what
with
do you
it?
do with it?
Because I think that's a lot of what gets missed a lot of times. And the difference in conference for us, conferences and workshops, is that we had time to go
yeah.
deeper on the topic.
Well, and it's cool. Like I really wanted to be able to teach something and then have it provide enough value that the attendee felt like they were getting something out of the 2 days that were there, but not hit them with the fire hose so much that they couldn't even absorb, let alone try to implement
Right.
all the things. So it was kind of and even preparing the content, it was like this fine balance of how do I know that I'm going to be providing enough without providing too much,
Right.
and it become overwhelming. And so the second day, then they got to really work a lot in small groups, and then use the strategic leverage of their group to be able to compound what they got to take home. So they all were individually working on a piece, but they were individually working on pieces of their, like in the group of their table. And then at the end of the day, they could pull it all together. And now they had 4 complete sets instead
Right.
of 1 complete set. So it was a good way to be able to utilize the power of the group. It's, you can do one person can do one thing, but when you pull together a group of people, it's
So I saw a lot of the ahas from different industries, right? So there was garage doors, there was plumbing, there was HVAC, there was landscaping. I feel like there might have been one other
general contracting.
general contractor there.
Yep.
And it was kind of one of those deals where they had that misconception of, well, I'm not going to learn anything from a garage door if I don't do garage doors, or
Right.
plumbing. And then when they're starting to work in these small groups, they're going, oh, you know what? We do that, or I forgot about it, or, oh my gosh, that's a really good idea. Why don't we do that in our industry? So it was
Yeah.
really neat to see those light bulbs.
Well,
go
and home services, the concept of home service is that the technician, regardless of what they do, leaves your shop and goes to the customer's home to do something, as opposed to like an auto mechanic where the customer brings their thing to you to fix. You're going to them to fix, repair, install, whatever you're doing. At the end of the day, home services is the same. It's just a different widget.
Right.
Right. I mean, obviously the skill and the technical, like that's different, but the business running of it, it is the same thing,
The
regardless
communication
of
with
what
the
the widget
customer,
is.
yep.
Right. Even no matter what software you're in or anything like that, it is the same. And I mean, I kicked off the 2 days of, some do's and don'ts. And one of the don'ts was, don't fool yourself into thinking your business is different, because it's not.
Right. And I'm glad you set the stage for that too, because there was a couple times where people would start and they would catch
themselves.
They're like, I'm just kidding.
And be like, my business is, yeah, that's exactly right. That'll work. And that'll work.
Well, and then you have the group too, who's like, hey,
Yeah.
it's not, and here's why. And
Yeah.
so that was pretty awesome to see, just light bulbs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To see light bulb, and then as everything. Well, okay. Let me tell you one of the comments that I received, actually from a couple of people, was about the flow, and that it wasn't 75, 1,100 different topics that they were getting hit with. And at the end of the day, they're like, well, I don't even know what to do with all this.
Right.
Everything built on the next thing, everything built on the next thing. And I think everybody appreciated that, because it's building and building and building.
Well, and I was shooting for the idea that let's take this one topic and go deep, instead of do 15 topics and stay surface level.
Right.
So good. I'm glad it worked out. I also want to mention and appreciate Levi Torres from Hi-Fi Plumbing. He was there. He did a presentation.
And did an
He did an
amazing,
amazing job
on his presentation.
We've known Levi and Cassie for almost 10 years. I coached with Levi probably about 8 or 9 years ago. He was, to this day, probably still one of my favorite coaching clients because he always did what I told him to do. and then he would even come back to the call and say, okay, I did that and this.
Right.
What's next? Give me the next thing. I want to do the next thing. And when we were doing that, he was a plumbing company that was, I don't know, $2 or $3 or $4 million a year. And now he's like 6 times that in several different arms, home service arms. And it's really cool. But for him to come to this, and then he was able to provide so much insight to the attendees, and he's just got a really, special servant's heart, and he was all in. There was never a time where you would think that he felt like he was too big for the room, and it was
he probably
really cool.
had more things on his to-do list than I bet anybody else in the room.
Yeah.
And I hope everybody saw that as we were kind of openly discussing that, but he had more things. So at no point does he go in a room and go, well, because he's probably was the biggest business in the room.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, if not, he was pretty close.
Yeah,
but,
I think so.
But at no point was it was, I'm here to work, man.
Right.
Like, what do I learn? He was going to the smaller companies, not like, let me tell you, but like, tell me, asking questions. And it was cool. Keith Jackson, same thing, man.
Keith Jackson's technically retired, but he had notes all over the place.
He
and
had
he
notes and just an amazing group of people. And I mean, that's really the first workshop in that kind of format with the virtual CFO that you've done. And I mean, anybody who's ever done events can tell you the first is the absolute hardest for any to fill the room, to get sponsors, to any of that stuff. And sponsorship was sold out. The room was sold out. The event venue was amazing. There wasn't any glitch. I mean, it was really such a smooth running event. It was pretty awesome.
Thanks. Thank
you.
I mean, I always am going to have polishes.
Oh, 100%.
I'm always going to have polishes, but to know that the framework is set now, and to do it again feels like a little bit less of a hurdle than, honestly, when we first started, when I was like, oh, wow, I want to do a workshop or whatever. And at the beginning, I was like, how hard could it be? And then about 2 weeks before the event, I was like, OMG, what have I gotten myself into?
Well, so here's another surprise, or maybe not surprise, but it certainly felt good, is closing everything out, having so many people say, when's the next one?
Yes, that was awesome.
Like, hey, anybody got any last questions is wrapping up, and they're like, when's the next one? Yeah, when's the next one? Can we sign up now? Like, where's the next one?
Yeah.
That felt
that was good.
That felt pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's see so also Josh and Tersh.
Josh and Tersh were there.
They talked about AI, which is, those guys are AI ninjas. I always get good notes from them and any other stuff they talk about with AI. And, even me, I've got a really good list that I took away from the conference of things I've got to, kind of start doing. And
so just for any listeners who don't know Josh and Tersh, that would be Josh Crouch and Tersh Blissett from Service Business Mastery.
Well, Service Business Mastery,
they own
is a
8
podcast.
businesses combined. Okay, so I know the two of them that are not actual home services are the AI Automation Pros and the Service Business Mastery podcast. And then there's 6 others, some of which are also our home service businesses.
Some are. Josh has got a really awesome digital marketing company.
Yep.
And we'll put all their information in the show notes. Definitely check them out. They got a lot going on, and and a lot of what they talked about was that's because of AI. Like they're these minute tasks that tend to just wear out business owners. They specialize in just helping people get that stuff dialed in so that it's not wearing them down.
Well, and it's even recognizing where AI could help. Like they were talking about how if you do the same thing more than 3 times a week, then AI could be involved.
Yeah.
And there is a struggle with growing home service businesses, growing businesses in general, probably, where we need to try to find the balance of our non-revenue generating team members and our revenue generating team members. And the more we want our non-revenue generators involved in the customer service journey, the more tasks there are. And so then you find yourself feeling like you need another person. I need another CSR. I need another CSR. I need another CSR to get all these things done. When really, probably what you just need is a little bit of automation and some efficiency in your business. And then you could provide the additional level of service that you want, but utilize the technology that's out there. So they definitely, it blows my mind, honest to goodness. Every time I talk to him about AI, it just like, my brain doesn't go there.
Well, and it doubles in capacity every 6 months too. So that's another challenge.
They're like, yeah, we did this one graphic in October and it's outdated 3 times since then, and it's May. So it's the speed in which all of that stuff is growing is a little bit mind boggling. But and then we had Jared Williams from The Wealthy Plumber. Mm-hmm. So that was really cool, and the couple of people who were attendees are also in his group, The Wealthy Plumber. So that was really neat for them to like
be able to connect.
Yeah. That was neat.
And we'll link all of the sponsors and the speakers in this episode. I'll link all their information in there. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know who they are, you can definitely find out more about them. The Wealthy Plumber Group is a fantastic school group that Jared has created. He's also got a really good podcast called The Jared Williams Show that's on all the places, the YouTube and the all the places as well.
I had a really good time with the attendees.
Yeah.
We had some really entertaining ones. They were engaged. We had a good time. It was fun. Yeah. It was really fun. So
do you have the date for the next one yet?
No. At the time of this recording, we've been out of the event less than 48 hours. So no, I do not have any date
I've already gotten several text messages. I was like, oh, she'll have it figured out by Monday.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what I'm going to do next time from the time wise, because May, I don't remember exactly why we picked May in the first place, but May was a little bit tough for some of my HVAC companies because
that's a tough time for HVAC business.
They're starting to get ramped up, and I was super appreciative of the HVAC companies that were there, because I knew in the back of their mind, they're like, man, it's the freaking first hottest day of the year. And
yeah, there was actually a couple of companies that were,
So time wise, and even we're getting up to the end of school, and it's a busy time of year. It's tricky.
Graduations and
all the things.
We're not too far from a big graduation in the Deese house.
So I have a feeling it'll be earlier in 2026 is when we'll do the next one. Earlier than May, and we'll do it a little earlier. It was a fantastic time to be in Pensacola, though. The weather right now is really pretty. It was warm, but not hot in my opinion. Although all of the Northerners were like, "Oh my gosh, it's so hot and muggy here." I'm like, "It's May. Wait till August."
Well, I mean, if you're from Minnesota, and we had several people from Minnesota that were at the event, and we're like, "Yeah, here's some sunscreen and
right.
Be prepared.
I think we did have 2 sunburns. We had 2 sunburns.
We did.
Yeah. So they even had sunscreen up at the front too.
Yep. We were trying to prepare for them.
Our UV index was 11. So that's like, for anybody who follows UV index, it's extremely high.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Plus coming from somewhere where, and it not being that hot, it's kind of like when it's overcast and you go lay in the sun here, you will get fried.
My worst sunburn I ever got was on a cloudy day watching you play volleyball.
Yeah.
And I'm telling
I had
you
blisters on my head.
Yes, the top of your head got burnt. It blistered. That was gross. That was a
lot of years ago. A lot of years ago.
It was
a lot of years ago.
Oh, and we celebrated our 21st anniversary.
We sure did.
On the first day of the event. So that was
that's why you picked it.
Oh yeah, totally.
So 5 years ago, we launched our book
on our anniversary. Yep.
If you don't have a copy, you should.
Yep.
I'll link that in the description as well. But so 5 years ago on our anniversary, we released that book. So our anniversary is really kind of becoming a fun time to
Either that
do
or we're
stuff like
setting the
this.
bar really high and we're going to have to keep doing cool stuff on our anniversary.
I know. I mean, I thought we were going to go to Mexico,
too.
but
No.
no,
No, not this time.
no, not this time.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. It's fine. We've already been once this year.
And we had another couple that was there that had an anniversary the next day.
Yes, we did.
So yeah, it was actually, I was talking to this with, I think it was Keith, talking about this with Keith. There was a lot of couples in the room who had long marriages and long businesses. Like there was a lot of couples in the room because, that's very natural progression of home services is that the husband is working for somebody else and he gets the entrepreneur seizure and decides to go do it himself. And then shortly after that, the wife gets sucked in to do the books and the answering the phones and all the things.
Yeah.
So it's common to see couples, but we had a couple couples in the room that have been married and in business together for a long time.
Yeah.
It was pretty neat. Mm-hmm.
Well, we will keep everybody posted.
Yep.
On what the next one will look like.
Yep.
But it was a lot of fun. I only did one podcast from there.
I know.
I said earlier there was no technical issues except the stuff that I was working on. I had technical issues, which it was actually I won't go on the story, but it wasn't a technical issue from a audio video standpoint. But
was it the light? Was it the sun?
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, it was bad.
Stinking sun.
Anyways, I ended up doing one, and I will get it posted probably next week. But with a garage door company, Jelly Goat.
Yep.
Jeff's amazing. It was kind of cool. It was a really short story. I'll have him back on to kind of tell the better, longer version of the story too. But that was a lot of fun to be able to have him on the show. But yeah, all in all, great vendors, great attendees, great weather. The hotel was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like the people were on it.
People were awesome.
It was great.
Yep.
But yeah, all in all. And then we went, so then the next night they have what they call gallery night here in Pensacola where they shut down basically Palafox and there's just vendors and all kinds of stuff going on and people wandering around. So for all the people that had never been to Pensacola, this was a really cool time because then if they stayed over the weekend too, we had the Gumbo Festival and the beach was packed. We went out there Saturday for lunch and packed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like next weekend is the official start of summer, but this weekend was probably like the unofficial start.
Yeah, the unofficial,
the unofficial start.
Kick off the party for sure. So,
yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, everybody, we appreciate you tuning in, checking it out, whether you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on one of the other platforms. We appreciate it. And as always, a 5-star review would not hurt our feelings. It definitely helps us get this algorithm thing, however this magical person behind the curtain works. It really helps us and helps promote us so that we can spread our message to other people. So until next time, we appreciate it.